While everyone's talking about the Pope being in the hospital, the Jubilee year goes on. In the quiet, one priest decided to speak up, sharing a hard truth that many would rather ignore. It's not just an opinion, but a reality few dare to admit. Listen to the end. While Pope Francis is admitted to the Gemelli Hospital for health reasons, the Jubilee is already underway, and thousands of pilgrims are arriving in Rome to participate in the celebrations. The city is overflowing with faithful determined to cross the holy door to experience that moment of grace. But, amidst the excitement and devotion, doubts also arise. Is it really the trip to Rome that makes the Jubilee authentic? Or is there a deeper meaning to rediscover? The debate ignites, especially after the words of Padre Donald Calloway, who, in a recent speech in Texas, stirred consciences with a direct and straightforward reflection. If you want to go to Rome, go. But it is not a requirement, nor is it necessary to go on a pilgrimage abroad if your means are limited. This is not the true meaning of the Jubilee, he stated firmly. The message is clear. A true pilgrimage isn't measured in miles traveled, but by the depth of prayer. Father Calloway also highlighted the danger of getting caught up in the frenzy of travel, selfies, and visits to museums filled with artwork that deep down don't convey the essence of our faith. But do we really stop to pray? Do we manage to enter into communion with Christ? These words question today's spiritual model, too often mixed with religious tourism that risks emptying the true meaning of faith. The priest also did not hold back criticism about Rome. I've been there too. Sure, it's a charming city, but it's marked by graffiti, chaos, and street vendors with selfie sticks. A far cry from the idyllic image one expects. And if you think going there will bring you closer to God, you're fooling yourself. The essence of his message isn't so much an attack on the tradition of pilgrimage, but an invitation to rediscover what truly matters. The greatest pilgrimage happens every day in your church, in the real presence of Jesus, without the need for plane tickets, time zones, or expenses, just you and him. Strong words that challenge a mindset that is perhaps too comfortable, that of seeking God in large events, in crowds, and in journeys, forgetting that authentic prayer is, above all, a personal encounter. Meanwhile, the Vatican continues to promote the Jubilee as a global event, but the question remains, is it really necessary to travel across the world to renew one's faith? Father Calloway didn't just criticize the pilgrimage to Rome. In his speech, he also addressed the sensitive relationship between the Vatican and money. Father Donald Calloway said, with a wry smile, "I understand why the Vatican is calling everyone to Rome. They want to see the city full of pilgrims. And yes, they're also looking for a financial contribution. It's natural, but not essential to take part in this big event to experience the Jubilee." These words sound like an accusation, albeit veiled, against a church that to some seems more focused on numbers than spirituality. And isn't it just a Rome thing? Doesn't it work like this everywhere? You go to Paris to admire the big churches, and as soon as you leave, you find dirt, decay, and people completely uninterested in faith. The same reality is seen in Guadalupe, in Mexico, or even in Częstochowa, in Poland. The shrine can be an oasis of prayer, but you only have to go a little way away to discover a very different reality. This thought challenges the romantic idea we often have about pilgrimage. Many dream of finding places filled with faith everywhere, but then they run into a more worldly reality. And so the priest asks, what's the point of spending money and putting up with hardship if all you really need is to pray? If a pilgrimage is just about taking pictures and collecting souvenirs, maybe it's time to ask ourselves if we've really understood what it means to find God. Father Calloway then shifted the focus to an even broader reality, the state of faith in the world today. And this is where the discussion gets even more direct, touching upon one of the few countries that still defies the secular drift, Poland. Father Donald Calloway exclaimed enthusiastically, "If you want to understand what it still means to be a Catholic country, go to Poland." and it's not hard to understand why. While Western Europe sinks into widespread religious indifference, with empty churches and declining vocations, Poland maintains a strong Catholic identity. Masses full of people, public processions, a popular devotion that resists. However, even in Poland, things are changing. Poland is Europe's last great hope, Callaway observed, adding that this is precisely why the European Union and the globalist world despise it, trying to corrupt it, make it lose its roots, and introduce that woke madness that has already devastated much of the continent. These aren't just random words. International pressure on Poland to adapt to Western standards on ethical and social issues is growing stronger and stronger. Traditional values, family, faith, everything that has made Poland a stronghold of Catholicism is under attack. However, in Poland, we also see a decline. Fewer and fewer young people practice the faith, and a growing number of people are moving away from the church. The problem is that for many, faith is still just a custom, something that is done because it has always been done that way. But this isn't enough. If faith doesn't become a personal, deep and conscious choice, sooner or later it will fade away. It's a serious warning, valid not only for Poland, but for the entire Catholic world. According to Callaway, in countries that are already secular, a more authentic faith emerges, because whoever decides to remain Catholic does so out of conviction. In England, for example, the churches may be empty, but those who go do so for a sincere reason. They have chosen to keep believing in a world that suggests otherwise. It's a provocation, but also a deep reflection. When faith is no longer a social custom, only those who truly understand its value remain. So, what will the future of the church be? Will it be saved by large gatherings like the Jubilee, or by the quiet perseverance of a few devoted followers? Callaway has no doubt. The destiny of the church will not reside in large events, in collective pilgrimages or in media campaigns, but in the hearts of those who, even in a hostile society, will continue praying, believing, and living the gospel without compromise. What do you think? If the video has touched you, leave a comment with an amen. God bless you.